Welcome to Worry Questions, a devotional series that we put together that really asks the question of us, what would Jesus say about the things that are causing us anxiety right now? What would Jesus himself say if we were talking to him physically? He was sitting across from us in a chair and he said, you laid out all of your worries and all of your concerns about what's going on with this pandemic. What would Jesus say right now? And we are going to explore this final piece. And if you missed any of the videos, you can go back on our YouTube channel. You can look at them on Facebook. They're on there. They're on our website. We try to make it easy for you. But right now, I want to ask you to think about one of the most commonly prayed things in the world. And that's the prayer that is called the Lord's Prayer. There's something unbelievable about this prayer. And I think what's unbelievable about it is simply the fact that Jesus taught his disciples how to pray. And he did so with such thoroughness. And right smack dab in the middle of his prayer comes this often quoted piece. In Luke chapter 11, verse 3, he says, "Give us each day our daily bread." Now, this last part of the worry questions isn't really a question because Jesus here is talking about how to pray. You're like, well, what does this have to do with worry? Well, I'll tell you. Most of the things we worry about are beyond this day. I think we could all agree that this day is not usually what we're concerned about. We're thinking about, well, what happens if this happens down the line? And what happens if, tomorrow I wake up and I find out that I can't go back to my office? Or what happens if I find out that my kids aren't going back to school in the 2021 school year? I mean, what then? I mean, really, this could be a conversation. What happens if another pandemic happens? What happens? Blah, 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 blah. All future, all beyond the day. When God commands us to pray, he tells us to ask God for provision just for the day. And there's a little bit of insight beyond just this story. And we're going to look back at an old story in the Old Testament that gives us the origin of our daily bread. And it was when the Israelites were depending on God for everything. God told them that he was going to provide them food. In fact, he was going to provide them bread. This bread was known as manna. You know about this story. But they all pray, and God essentially makes a promise to them about their providence that they're going to be receiving from heaven above. And it says right here in Exodus chapter 16, verse 4, it says that the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I'm about to rain down bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather," look at this, "one day's portion," just one day's portion every day, "that I may test them whether they will walk in my ways." The people were only permitted by God in this period of time to take just one day's worth of manna from heaven. You say, well, that's crazy. I mean, he could just give them their weekly quota of bread. He could just give them all that they needed for the rest of their lives even. He's God. But that's not what he does. That's not what he did there, and that's not what he does here. You see, our relationship with Jesus is all about that daily providence, not a one-time deal. I mean, imagine if you went to God just one time and, okay, God, I'm going to pray every prayer that I ever need to pray. I'm going to pray that my kids stay healthy. I'm going to pray that I'm financially fit. I'm going to pray that I do well in my job. I'm going to pray that I don't get sick. All of these things. And you just go to God like he's some sort of cosmic genie. And many of us pray like this, unfortunately. When we do that, what we do is we forget about the simple idea that Jesus commands us to pray for our daily bread, the needs of the hour, the needs of that moment, the wisdom for that day. And the deeper reason behind this, not just because of the fact that God doesn't want us to go beyond the day and that God doesn't want us to fill our hearts with worry, the deeper reason lies in who Jesus is himself. In fact, it says in John chapter 6, verse 35 and verse 38, Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. I have come down from heaven." He's referencing Exodus chapter 16. He's referencing the fact that the only provision, I should say, that you need to worry about in your life is Jesus himself. I love that. You know why I love that? I love that knowing that though I have worry, and though I think about things beyond, I think about when my kids are going to be going to school, and I think about how do I protect them, and how do I explain to them the things that are going on right now. I think about all that, just like you do. But I also realize that the only thing that I really need, really need in my innermost being is the presence and providence of God himself through Jesus. And if we've trusted in Jesus, we have it. He is the bread of life. He is our portion. He is the one that solves all of our problems. And he's the one that answers all of our concerns concerning worry. Therefore, when we go to worry, I want you to think about Jesus saying, look, just worry about the day. Worry about your daily bread. Worry about what you need in this moment. And if right now all you feel that you have is hanging on by a thread, and all you feel that you have right now is just your relationship with me, that's enough. That's enough. Jesus is the bread of life. Jesus sustains us when everything else falls apart. And Jesus is our cure for worry.